This information is now on the internet, and that makes me right. Hey, welcome back to GT Canada. Today I want to review something that we've been talking about in the shop for quite some time now, and we can't seem to agree on what it is. And that is vehicles that are the same. I'll tell you the scenario. One of our members, who is going to remain nameless for now, came home with a Mazda MX-6. And I made the statement, hey, yeah, it's not a bad car if you don't mind driving a Ford Probe. And he says, this ain't no Ford Probe. This is a Mazda. Are you stupid? Then I proceeded to tell him, well, actually, the Ford Probe and the Mazda MX-6 are the same car. Of course, he disputed that, said that no, they're not the same, just look at them. You can tell by looking at them that they are not the same car. I would agree that when you're looking at the cars, you might think that they are not the same. However, if you were to look deeper, you would find that they share the same chassis. In the case of the Ford Probe versus MX-6, Ford and Mazda have had quite a long running relationship in sharing vehicles and platforms over the years and generations, and it's not inconceivable to think that they probably do share the same platform. In fact, if you look on Wikipedia, it will tell you that they share the same platform. Does sharing the same platform mean they are the same car? I will submit to you that the answer to that question is yes. And the reason why I think the answer is yes is typically, if you share the same platform, that means you share other components. In many cases, that would mean that you're sharing the same engine, the same transmission, the same driveline, the same suspension components. Often you'll be sharing the same braking components. And the things that are different would be body panels, bumpers, hoods, fenders, that sort of thing. Some good examples of cars that I would consider the same. Obviously, you've heard the Ford Probe and the MX-6. I would also say it's very well agreed on, as far as I'm concerned, that the Cavalier, the Sunfire are the same car. They're just slightly different. They share the same engines, transmission, driveline, suspension components, same everything, and a lot of the parts are completely interchangeable. So they're the same, I would say. It would be easier to draw this comparison when we're talking specifically about North American and especially GM vehicles, because GM, General Motors, has a number of brands: Chevrolet, GMC, Pontiac, Saturn, Oldsmobile. Those are all the ones they had in their heyday. Since they hit troubled financial times in 2007, they shut down a lot of those plants. So Saturn went away, Oldsmobile went away, I think Buick went away. Each of those brands had their own vehicle built on the same platform. So that's understandable. But what about Mercedes? So if you're looking, my wife drives actually an ML55. My sister drives a GL. I think it's a 320. They share a similar chassis code. They're not exactly the same, but components from the two, they can be used on either vehicle. So does that make them the same? Well, again, I would say maybe not the same, but they're the same. So what do I mean by the same? I mean, components are swappable between the two vehicles, and more than just one. If you take what I'm saying to the absolute extreme, then that would mean that the Nissan 300ZX is a Lamborghini, because Lamborghini used the headlights from the Nissan 300ZX for their car. And if you pull the little eyelids off of the Lamborghini, you will see it even says Nissan Motor Company on the headlight. They didn't just buy the rights to the housing and then make a new lens. They bought the entire thing and stuck it on the car. Why did they do that? Well, it costs a lot of money to get DOT approval on everything when you're making a car. So it's a lot easier if you can get components from a company that already has DOT approval for something like the headlights, so you can skip that step completely. And that's what they did. They just got the headlights, stuck them on, and then sold the car with Nissan headlights. Does that make it the same? No, it's not. It shares headlights and that's it. Different engine, different everything. Everything else is different. But when you're talking about components that are easily swapped between the vehicle, I would say the vehicle is the same. Why am I making this post? Well, number one, I think a lot of people out there don't realize how much money is spent engineering a vehicle. And if you can take somebody else's engineered work and throw different body panels on it and call it a new car, that's infinitely cheaper than going through the whole process yourself. So that's why Mazda and Ford can share the same chassis. So it is common, it happens a lot, more than you might realize. This bit of information actually comes in handy when you're looking for a new vehicle, because nobody's gonna buy a Ford Probe, for example. Everyone might want to buy a Mazda MX-6 because it's a Mazda, it's an import, it's better than a Ford. It's not a Ford, so it's obviously better, right? Well, if you knew that they're actually the same car, you could go and find a Ford Probe for less money and have the same experience. Get in the car, have a seat, and go for a drive. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. How do you know if you share the same chassis code? Well, the biggest thing that I do is rely on something like Wikipedia and do a search. Whatever car you're looking for, just type in, I'm driving an Avalanche right now. So you type in Chevy Avalanche, Wikipedia, and then it'll come up and it'll tell you all about that vehicle. It'll tell you the chassis code, it'll tell you everything. So knowing the things that are similar could save you money if you're not picky about what you want, but you do want a certain experience. You can have that experience for less money when you look for the brand that is obscure. This would tie in with a video that I released already, which you can check up here, which talks about how to find a vehicle for cheap, a good vehicle for cheap. That's one of the clues to finding a good vehicle. So I hope this video helped you out and learn a little bit. And Jacob, if you're watching this, you're probably not, but if you are watching this, this information is now on the internet and that makes me right. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the other videos right here. Stick around, subscribe to the channel, and have a good day.